Hi, I want to show you in this video how to grade a Google form using Flubaroo and then use those grades to perform an item analysis of your students' work, which then lets you make data-driven decisions moving forward. Really quick aside, I'm going to apologize in advance because even with a script and planning this out, I always stumble over my words in a video because I get really nervous. So I'm sorry. Okay, moving on. You will have this folder that you've purchased, this grammar pretest from Teachers Pay Teachers. I'm going to open one of these up. You may have a little less because you haven't made some of these things yet, but you'll get there. Also, I want to do a quick side note. Yours will only come with one Google form pretest, like one form right here. You might want to right-click it and come down to make a copy and make a copy for each class that you teach. So if you have 3 or 4 classes, for example, I have 4 classes. I haven't done this in the past as a teacher. I have just used the one form for all 4 classes, but I think this year I'm going to make a copy for each one. And while the video is playing, like later on, I'm going to show you why. But if you don't, we've just got the one, either way. So let's click into our form, which is up here. So I'm just going to come to this one very quickly because this is not the point of the video, but this is the teacher side of a form. This is not the student side. To see what the students will see, you can come up here to this little eye and preview. You will want to do that and need to do that because you also need to take the test to use your submission as the answer key. So I'm going to click this preview. I'm going to write answer key as my name. What class am I in? Now this is a required question. You know that because it's got that red star, but I'm not in one of the class periods, so I might just do like a dash. And then I would go through and take the test. Now I've already done that right now because I didn't want to waste your time. And I do have the answer key provided for you here in the directions, which will help it to go even faster. But ideally, do that first, and I'll show you why later. So we've taken our test. Yes, I'm going to leave because we're going to pretend. Then when you come back over here, you're going to have one response up here beside this responses because you've only had one person take it yet, and it's you. You can't yet practice with the Flubaroo add-on with only one response. You have to have at least 2. So if you want to do a practice student when you can, or you can just wait until your real students take this assessment. I'm going to click into responses so we can start this grading and analysis. This summary page that Google Forms does for you automatically is really pretty valuable. I don't like this individual one, but the summary one is good. And the reason why is because it gives you the percent, if you come down here, of students getting this question correct. This is one reason you may want to assign this form just a 3rd period and have a different form for, 5th period or whatever, because this gives you a good class overview of how your students are doing. If you have 80, 90% and higher in this parts of speech question, getting it correct, well, then 3rd period is pretty good at identifying the part of speech. That maybe is something they don't need. And then if you compared that to your 5th period and they struggled, it's something 5th period needs. So this section can help you to perform data-driven decisions for like an overall class. To do it student by student, which is still, of course, the ideal, although that can feel overwhelming and time consuming, I think sometimes, I usually come up and make a spreadsheet. You can do it there in that individual, but I find that kind of tedious. So I'm going to come up here to this green icon and click it and create a spreadsheet. Now, I've already done this with this form this evening, actually in another video where I stumbled too much, so I'm starting over, being completely honest. But when you click this for the very first time, you're going to get a box that pops up and it says, like, do you want to create it with this name? You hit create. Okay, so I'm going to go there. It's just going to automatically pop up for me because I've already made it. And here is, my spreadsheet with my submissions. I like to do mine first, that answer key, how I told you to do it before the students, because it's just up here first in the order. You'll probably have more if you've got your 20 or 30 students who have taken it, and then maybe your whole team of students. I'll usually have 115 students, so it could be long. What you want to do then is come up here to add-ons. If you don't see Flubaroo right here, because I've already used it before, you can come down here to get add-ons. I'll show you this quickly. Flubaroo is right here. It is generally, it's like sometimes it's here. There's not, a spot for it. You can search for it if you don't see it. But for me, it is often one of these top few. So I think it's, fairly common to be up high. Hit manage and then click use in this document. All right. So come back up to add-ons. Now you might need to you might need to click first something that right here will say enable Flubaroo to be used in this document or something like that. Click it when it says like enable and then come back to add-ons again, and then you can go over to the Flubaroo and it will say grade assignment. Mine says regrade because I messed up in that last video and I've already graded it once. So I'm going to go ahead just to show you through this and hit regrade. This will update my existing grade sheet. That's fine. That also shows that if you need to grade it again later, you could, if a new student finished or maybe somebody was absent. Right here, it is asking you which questions do you want to grade and how do you want to grade them. It's awesome because it automatically recognizes that my first two questions, write your name and what class period, is not something I want to grade. And you can tell that because it's in gray. These are just identifications. For all of the rest of them, I just want them to be graded normally at 1 point apiece. You could change that though to 2 points, whatever. It's 1 through 10. And you just want to make sure that that is how all of your questions look. So I'm going to just scan through quickly and hit continue. Here it's asking you which one is the answer key. That's another reason I like to do it first before the students take it, because it's on top. If you didn't take it until after they finished, you would have to scroll through however many submissions you had and find it. So click this one, continue. And it says it's grading. Just wait a minute. And now we've got our grade. It says grading is complete. I'm going to close this because I'm going to go over what it says, but you may want to reread that. It's good. You will have your students listed here. Their names will be in red, like this one, student 1, when they are not performing at a passing level. We've got the student score right here at a 62%. This is helpful. How many times did they submit? Because if they're just kind of messing around and they've done it 3 or 4 times, or, that just gets a little worrying. It gives you something to think about. Excuse me. But the helpful information is this kind of color-coded, I find, and this percent for item analysis. So if I have all of 3rd period taking this test, but only 10 or 15, something low, it could be even higher than that, but lower, are passing this question, and this is not a high enough percentage, then that tells me that that's an idea or a topic I need to teach or reteach. So that is what the item analysis is. where you are seeing how did your students do by item, in theory, which would be related to a standard. Excuse me. Another thing I like to do when I'm doing the item analysis is kind of section it off. So if I click a cell and then drag it and highlight, I like to change the color because I'm visual. You come up here to this little paint can and I'm going to write parts of speech. I might do my next section, which stops here. This is come up and give it a bright color. Independent and dependent clauses. I put these together, the questions. So, I put all the first 6 questions are about parts of speech on purpose so that I can do this in the end, the back end. And I can group my students by standard in small groups. So if, student 1 and student 3 and student 8 all performed overall poorly at parts of speech, I'm going to teach, reteach, pull a small group, give them reinforcement on that topic. Likewise, if no one in your class got question 6 right, and it's about conjunctions and parts of speech, well, maybe they're kind of doing okay at parts of speech, but they're really struggling at conjunctions. And what is a conjunction? So you can drill down by question, by standard, by student to figure out the best way to move forward to help your students. And I go through and then do this for, the rest of the students and the rest of the standards. I hope this idea and this topic helps. You've got these different tabs down here so you can come back to student submissions and just run that form again if you needed to. All right, thanks so much for watching.